And the best person.
Claudia.
Norman. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, buddy?
Good.
Good, mate. Welcome to the all-new season of The Mentors. And in the hot seat here, I've got Matt LaHood.
Norman, how are you?
Hi, Matt. How are you? Good, thanks.
Now, Norman, they were lifting up chairs last night looking for you after your name got called out. Mate, I was telling everyone you're the humble guy who slipped out the door before the announcement.
You won't believe it, Matt. I've been waiting like nearly a decade for this award. And the year I decided work was more important than watching someone else win it.
That's probably why you won it.
You got a mate, seriously, because I was there. You got a huge clap when you got announced,
thank you.
and then everyone it went really dead quiet because everyone's going, "Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?" So
they didn't even give me any hints. They did call me, Matt. They said, "Norman, are you coming?" And then I said, "I'll speak to my assistant." And then nothing. They didn't do anything after that. They just left it. And
that's too funny. Well, no disrespect to the other winners, but, mate, I think you're the only person on the whole thing that won anything that I actually knew. This isn't recorded, is it, Clouds?
That says a lot from a titan in the industry, Matt LaHood, to say.
No, but, mate, we'll, when we do this Mentors, we'll push out that and we'll mention the ROB Awards because Clouds has obviously got a huge following on this. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
So, listen, look, Norman, thanks for joining us here today, mate. We're super excited to have you on. I suppose we've got Clinton here. We're all back here together. The band is back, Matty LaHood. And
Backstreet's back.
What a way to start, the next series of the Mentors podcast by having Norman So from Belle Property in Strathfield. Thanks for joining us here, Norman.
No, thanks, guys, for the invite.
Mate, we're looking forward to having the next 15 or so minutes with yourself, Norman. I suppose for all the listeners, and we're also videoing this as well. For some of the people that don't know you, even though they should, Matty LaHood knows you, so I'm sure most people will know you out there. But tell us a little bit about your career in real estate. How long you've been? For some of the viewers and listeners, obviously you are the number one agent in Strathfield, and as of last night, you are the number one Metropolitan agent through the REB Awards. But just for some people, give us some context around your background in real estate. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing this for just over 10 years now. Started with a local agency here in Strathfield, stayed there for about 5 years. And then for the last 4 or 5 years, I've operated Belle Property Strathfield. We are expanding quite rapidly. I've already got my second office, Claudio, and the third office should be up and running by, I can't reveal where it is right now, but it'll be up and running within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, so we probably, when we first started, it was just me, Michael Ma, the fellow director, and Simon Finari. So it was only the three of us in an office in North Strathfield on the second floor, because that's all we could have afforded back then.
Wow.
And now we've got about 35 staff members just in Strathfield alone. Then there's another 6 or 7 in Homebush, and our new office, there's another 3 coming on board.
Amazing. And that all you started your career 10 years ago. Is that right, Norman?
Yes. So I was at Westpac Bank. I was at Westpac reading the same contract of sale, but I was approving the home loans and then the owner of that real estate agency came in and said, "Norman, I really need sales staff." And I was so burnt out with my career at Westpac because obviously I had targets at Westpac to write a mil per year in loans.
Yes.
And I was working 7 days a week, so I needed a change. And that owner found me at the right moment, and he said, "Don't worry about listings. I've got all these units. You just come and sell." So I did that, and the rest is history now. 10 years later,
Amazing.
I've got my own real estate business.
Yeah, your own
Well
business,
done,
3
mate.
offices. Incredible, huh? Amazing.
Yeah, huge.
Norman, the thing that strikes me when I worked with you briefly some years back was
Yes.
you're highly focused and organised, and you're passionate about what you do. Is that something you feel is key to your success?
You have to love real estate. As I was growing up, my parents obviously introduced me to the real estate industry, and I just followed suit. They showed me the ropes of what should be done, what shouldn't be done, how investment properties work, and I just fell into that love of real estate. So what a lot don't know about me is I do a lot of real estate development on the side as well, because I love every facet of real estate, not just selling high-end luxury properties or units around here in Strathfield. So that love's got to be there. Otherwise, I don't think you'll ever make it if you're just thinking about the money. The money is secondary to me. It's just the love of getting real estate and getting a result for my vendors.
Yeah, I definitely picked that up. That was passion. Your process is very solid too, though, from memory. You've probably honed that further obviously with the staff you've got. But do you want to work through the process and how you do things? Auction's a big part of your life, yeah?
Yes, so auctions, they're probably 80% of all the properties that I do sell. Only about 20% of my stock goes through a private treaty process. That's when I get a 1-bedroom unit, and there's no use trying to run an auction for that because the primary buyers are only first home buyers for that particular asset class.
Mm-hmm.
So process is obviously very, very important to us. I've got in my own team. My effective business unit, there's 4 of us. We do have processes in place, and Claudio's obviously here every week to assisting me fine-tuning my processes.
So there's part of your success I didn't know about.
Look out.
The secret weapon.
Now you dropped his name.
Don't tell everyone your secret formula there.
So, with the buy, there's two worlds I need to juggle, as you know, Matt. I've got my vendors to manage throughout that 5-week process. I've got my purchases to manage during that 5-week process as well. And there's different sales every week 1, week 2, week 3. There's different elements that you need to action to get the sale to the next level. So you might think, oh, yes, Norman's number 1, but every day something new comes up. There's a new way, there's new dialogue, there's a new method,
yes.
And there's a new action to put in place with those methods to make the process better for the vendor and the purchasers.
So what you're saying, you got to be able to be nimble, change when you need to change, can't do things the way you were doing it 12 months ago, that type of thing. Is that your approach?
That's correct. So apart from Claudio, it's very important to me because every week we do have the training. But I think one thing that I do well is I monitor a lot of the very successful agents from Melbourne, from WA, overseas in America. I see how they evolve, how they're changing, and I add a little bit to my method of disposal of these assets as well. So that's very important. You need to be fully aware of what's going on within that real estate environment because the changes are happening all over the world, and if you're not at the forefront of it, you're going to miss out.
Yeah, and probably, Norman, change is happening so rapidly today, right? Like, where things were taking, 10 to 15 years before to come through, now it's almost like, Maddie, like things are moving like so quickly, like tools, to become more effective, more efficient, that agents can use in their toolbox, in their processes to just get things done so much more quicker. And you've got to be on top of that, right, Maddie? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And you're hearing Norman, like he's always like just saying what's next? What can I be offering my clients? What can I be offering, in the marketplace that can separate me from everybody else, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Norman, the other thing too, when COVID hit, your market, like all markets with the auctions, you have a lot of volume you sell. How did you go? Did you have to completely redo things in that time? And are the things that you learnt then that you've kept doing now to help you with the volume?
Yes. So strangely enough, during the COVID environment, I thought my sales numbers would go down because of the environment, but it actually went 2x. So instead of me just writing 1.2 to 2 million myself, I wrote 2 million, and my other staff member in my EBU wrote another 1.2 million.
Wow.
So just us, we're generating around 3 to 3.5 during the COVID environment. So we quickly had to hire staff members to help us out because, obviously with the 2x in turnover, the total numbers of sales sort of went up substantially as well.
A lot more. What you couldn't just do opens. We had to do by appointments and all that. So with the volume that you do, I could see you would have had to rechange your complete process. Yeah.
Correct, but I actually liked it during the COVID environment because I could do auctions not on a Saturday. I could do it any day of the week because it doesn't matter anymore. So I actually enjoyed parts of that COVID environment. But what hit me by surprise was that change, and the demand was totally different because we were in a hot market during that COVID environment. And as soon as I list the property, like within the next week, there will be offers about 5% above the vendor's dream price.
Yep.
We're not getting it right now anymore. We're back to normal market parameters. But during that COVID environment, it was quite easy to move stock.
That's interesting. So Norman, you've come 10 years. People, I don't think the whole because I know who you are personally, but also know your market very well. There's not many markets around Australia that somebody comes into a market which was completely dominated by some big names in your market there, fair call, before you started, isn't it? And to take the market share you've taken and to have a brand, there's obviously your Belle brand, but there's Norman So brand, which is everyone knows the name. Is there one thing that you feel that you do personally that I think I could add to this from what I see externally, but is there anything you feel, one thing you did personally that put you on the map there?
I think you need that combination of the right branding first.
Yep.
And then obviously you would have to do the Norman So DNA. You've got to push that forward as well.
Yes.
So I think I'm lucky enough I have the right combo. Because there was only a few luxury brands that I could have chosen with. Everyone was pushing me to go solo.
Yep.
But because Stratford's such a diverse demographic here, I felt that the brand that I'm with right now, everyone could adopt and would flourish in my marketplace, and it did. But when I first started, the major challenge for me was no one even heard of Belle Property in Stratfield.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing to push out there.
It's a win-win, isn't it? The brand follows the leader, I guess, and we've found that with our own brand, the agency, same sort of scenario. The agents, the ones that are in the living room, and then the brand gets tagged. But you said you've got to have a right combo like you've got, which works well.
Norman, I was just going to ask you just a quick question. Just, for a lot of agents, they strive to, win market share and dominate their marketplace like you have. And then it's about sustaining that level. It's like being Roger Federer. You're number one for so many years. And obviously, how do you sustain, what, you being number one? And there's always going to be people like, the Djokovic's of the world or the Nadals of the world or, Medvedevs of the world, just always at your heels trying to take that number one spot. What do you do for you personally yourself? Like, do you believe to continue to dominate your marketplace and your market share?
So I had to go through two circumstances where no one knew me when I first started 10 years ago, but I got given 2 or 3 units. And then I sold those 2 or 3 units pretty quick, and I marketed the hell out of it to make sure everyone knew that I sold it within the local area. And I got a lot of listings off the back of that. But then when I started Belle Property, I had to do that process again. And then we went from 0 market share, 0%, and now we're sitting on around 33% market share in Stratfield.
Okay. So I've got a question for you now. Oh, so no, you go.
Yes.
I was just going to say...
sorry.
You go. Sorry, buddy.
Go, Norman.
I think the hardest part was the hardest part is the starting out part because no one knew who I was. Exactly. I think the most important part is you need listings to get listings. So for those that are starting out, you just need to search expireds or door knock or find a way to get the first 2 or 3. once you get them in, and you should be able to get the following ones, but you need the listings to get the next batch of listings in your local area. But the harder part was actually once you make it 20% market share, obviously you're forced to be reckoned with, but trying to maintain that 20-30% is probably the hardest part of my career. Just fine-tuning every pot that I need to fine-tune every single week, that's been the hardest part, because you become the target of every other agent in your local marketplace.
Cool. So, I mean, that kind of leads into the question I was going to ask, mate, because you talk about getting your first listing, then marketing the hell out of it. And then what are you doing nowadays? What are the touch points that potential vendors have when they want to work with you? And then what kind of recipe are you putting into play to fine tune it?
Yeah, sure. So the two pots I need to juggle with the vendors and the purchasers, me and Claudia, we fine tune every single step every week. So my vendors would get free contact points. On the Monday, they'll get a phone call from me in regards to last Saturday. Then on a Wednesday, another contact point. And on Saturday, after I do the open homes, that's the third contact point. So there's a minimum of 3 contact points I have with my vendors. In the middle of the marketing campaign, as I normally do auctions, we have a face-to-face meeting at least once or twice before the auction as well. So I don't sugarcoat anything, because you already signed up your vendors for 3-4 months through the agency agreement. I'm always honest with every single feedback that I get, whether the price is low or high. I just provide that feedback to the vendor, because, you're in partnership with your vendor. You shouldn't hide anything. You shouldn't sugarcoat anything with your vendors. Now, with the purchasers, me and Claudia always talk about what we call the gap. I can't reveal too much of what the gap is, but all I can say is I target the top 4 buyers in all of my auction campaigns, and I develop relationships with those 4 buyers to ensure that they come to the auction and they're ready to pay a reasonable market price for that property that's interested in.
Great advice.
Identifying them.
Okay, cool. So here's where it gets interesting, right? As you're building your business, or as you're maintaining your business, external to the touch point with a vendor and a buyer, how else do people know what you're up to? How do you attract more people in so the business grows and maintains?
Are you talking about like social media or things like that?
Yeah, I'm talking about social media, direct mail, cold calling. What's the sales and marketing that you do?
So I probably feel sorry for everyone that lives in 2135, because I churn for about 260 sales a year. So they're getting 260 letterbox drops after I sell. And then they get a bi-monthly book from me with all my listings, all my sales, and my commentary. So that's my print media side. And then we have our own Belle Property internal system of the social media side. So between my EBU, we have about 10,000 followers. And we obviously, through all the social media platforms, we have a really strong following. But I utilize the Belle Property internal marketing for the social media advertisements. So they have their own algorithm of how to target people through those Google AdWords and the cookies that they've saved when they were searching through Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Norman, one thing I've noticed you've done really well, you've been able to separate selling principle from your team culture looks really strong. Did you want to talk about that, how you've been able to list and sell houses within outside, but also maintain a strong culture? You seem to do multiple photos with a number of your team sharing the sales success, not just you. I often see you with 3 or 4 of your agents out the front of a sold board, not just you claiming the success all the time. Is that something you've worked on, or has that just happened? Or
so every sale it's a team effort, because I separate the selling stages with every different member in my effective business unit. So it's not all me. I'm there for the important parts of the sale, which is the listing and the negotiation and the relationship management. The other parts of the sale, other team members in my team, they handle those particular matters.
You've been conscious of showing that to the marketplace, because it looks like that from outside?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
I want to grow everyone in my team, in my EBU, and in my team.
Yeah.
Because eventually I want to pass the throne to them.
So I think what you've just
That's-
said then is probably one of the most successful statements. Principals tend to not want to do that.
Yes,
They
I know.
tend to want
Take
to
all
be
the glory.
Yeah, take all the glory. And then that's what you just said then, I think, is probably just unveiled.
And we all know, Matty, a team will always outperform an individual,
Absolutely.
right? So it's a team effort.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and as and there are so moving parts, and when you're doing that much volume like Norman is, right? He's the brain surgeon, right? He's the brain surgeon which comes in and does the challenging parts or the more difficult parts, but he's got a team around him that support him and help him, and he doesn't come in and go, "It was all me." It was our team that did it together.
Yeah,
you know
I think
what I mean?
that to me, Norman, probably just
Speaks volumes.
Speaks volumes for your success.
Absolutely. Hey, Norman, we really appreciate your time, because I know it's you're a very busy man, and congratulations again for last night. But one final thing before we wrap up, we always ask our guests that come on to ask Matty and I a question. We don't even know the question. We love freestyling. So, what's you got an industry titan here with Matt LaHood. He was in his own market shareholder around Randwick and Coogee for many years, and obviously very successful, as we all know. So you got some people here, and you got Clinton, who's very much like in that media space, social media, all that type of stuff, branding and profiling. But what would be a question you'd want to ask us anyway?
For Matt, I wanted to ask him. He's got some superstar agents on at the agency.
Yep.
And they've been ultra loyal to him. They won't go any. I just want to know how did he manage to keep all these superstar agents under the agency umbrella for so long as well?
No, thanks, Norman. I think, look, if they know you're there for them, that's why I was going down that culture path. I've never made any business, and I ran the McGrath sales team for a long time. If you remember, it's never been about me, and that's why I think looking at your success, it's a team effort. How I've been able to maintain the loyalty is I've said to any of my team, if there's anything they need inside of real estate, outside of real estate, to call me first. Yes. So when you go beyond the call of duty, I guess, it's not just about, hey, I can't close the sale. It's like, hey, I'll smash my car, or I need a car, or whatever it might be. Whatever the problem is in their life, outside of real estate or inside, I want them to call me. And I think that's probably, when I look back, if you're asking me what the loyalty is, I've just been there with them all the way from start, when they were doing little business to doing huge volumes, to some being, top of their tree at the moment. We've got an agent who's just finished off over 10 million for the year.
Yes, I heard.
And I think a few people hearing that one. And, I sat down with...
And he's on track to do about 12 this year.
Claudio's a big part of Ben's sort of team as well. But the reality is, Benny was a 20-year-old, 18-year-old kid when he started.
Yes.
He's a father of 3 kids, very successful family man as well, not only just an agent. So that, to me, is the success. It's not about how much GCI. No, his whole parts of his life are successful. And I think that's just one thing. We've got a whole lot of stories like that. But along the journey, along the way, and I like to think I've been there at the births, I've been at the weddings, I've been at the 40th, I've been at the 30th, I've been at the 50th. I think that's what it's really all about.
And from a third party, and I've known Matt for a long time. I don't know if you know the history of Matt and I, Norman, but we went to preschool together from 5 years of age, kindergarten. And we went through high school together. We've known, and actually Matt LaHood got me into real estate after my tennis career didn't work out. But on saying that, from a third party and knowing Matt for a long time and seeing how he operates and how he works, Norman, is one thing that he just mentioned to you is he's very authentic with his guys, and he's got a massive care factor. I've worked with multiple managers, multiple principals in my lifetime, and I've been in the industry 27 years. And one thing I'd probably say, there's probably 2 people that has what he offers. One of them was my first principal, and I was lucky enough to had a great mentor when I first started real estate back in 97 or 96 with Hookers at Bondi Junction. John Gordon was a great mentor. He got me into real estate coaching and training. Like, he got my first real estate coach, and you know, I wanted to buy a fancy car, and he said, don't buy a car, buy a property. And he got me to buy a property first before buying an Alfa Romeo Spider after I made my first massive commission check. And he taught me, like, you know, all of those things. And I think, you know, if you can teach people like what Maddie does, and you're very good at this too, Norman, where wealth creation, and be there for them when they're down, and you come from a personal level, and it's not just GCI levels like Maddie said. You know, people respect you on very, very high levels. I will definitely say that, and being that third party that sees it from the outside in. I see it from a lot of his agents that he does, that he will go and meet someone at 7 o'clock at night and take them for dinner, and, you know, try and work where they're at and whatever challenges they're facing, you know?
Okay.
So that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, 100%.
Sure.
So, mate, what's the celebration like? You're going partying tonight or something? Or, that's a loaded question. I know what the answer's going to be, but I thought I'd ask it.
He's going to go and take the team for lunch. They're going for Yum Cha to celebrate the REB award.
I've got 3 auctions on Saturday.
There
I
you
can't
go.
go anywhere.
The answer. Okay, so delayed celebration, yeah?
That's correct.
Good on you, Norman. All the best.
Hey, Norman, thank you so much. Congratulations on your
Thanks,
award
guys.
again. And thanks for joining us
Thank
here
you.
on the new season of the podcast, The Mentors. Thanks, brother.
See ya.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Claudia.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Got something great from this episode? It would mean the world to us if you passed it on. Tune in each week as we mentor a new agent. Have a question? Want to be on the show? Get in touch with Claudio Encina, Matt LaHood, or visit our Facebook page. The Mentors is brought to you by Sprinkler.media.